Hi guys, so here is the syllabus review video that I promised earlier in class today. So you should be in Biology 2402. This is Human Anatomy and Physiology 2. It is for allied health majors and any other major that's associated with something in the medical field. My name again is Heather L. Brazier. You can call me Dr. B for short. And if you would like to come see me during my office hours, you can go into building 12 on the 7th floor. That's room 730. So essentially, if you go up the elevators, take a right and another swift right. When you get to the hallway, you'll notice my office right there. Now, I do have an office phone, but I ask people not to really call it because I don't check it very often. What you will want to utilize is my cell phone number. You can text it. Please do not call me at my cell phone. I do not answer numbers I don't know. So please, if you have any emergency or any means for which you want to communicate or any information you need to communicate to me, you can call me or text me at 409-392-5787. Now my office hours are Tuesdays and Thursdays from 9 to 11 a.m. and those occur in my office. That's room 730 in building 12. And you can come see me in the hotspot. That's starting next week to get any kind of tutoring there as well. And that's from 11 to 12. Now, if it's not an emergency, you don't need to contact me right away, or you just feel more comfortable, I ask that you not actually use my email, my Lone Star EDU, but recommended communication is through my D2L email account. So just go to your course, hit email, and email me through there. That email and D2L only is utilized for students. So it's going to make it very, very easy for me to see your email. Like I mentioned in class, I get tons of email from people trying to sell books to general Lone Star email, to very specific emails due to Phi Theta Kappa and other kind of these outside entities. So sometimes your email can get lost if you do it through my regular email communication. So I just stress to you, please do D2L. Now, of course, this is Biology 2402. You have lecture and lab, and it is set up a little different this fall 2017. You will be going to your lecture course on Thursdays from 2:30 to 5:30, and of course today we had lab from 2:30 to 5:30 on Tuesdays. Now it's a 4-credit hour course, which means you have 3 hours of that are included in your one-to-one hour for your lecture course. Your 3 hours that you go in lab represents one of your credit hours. So altogether, you should be 96 credit hours. We have missed 1 week, so we're looking at 90 actually contact hours. Now, when you come up to the lecture room, you're going to go to building 12, the same side that you were on today, but it's going to be in room 619. Now, this is a continuation of Biology 2401, so it's going to emphasize study of basically anatomy and physiology in relationship to the endocrine, circulatory, immune, respiratory, digestive, reproductive, and urinary systems. So basically, it's primarily designed for students entering health careers. These are going to be your student learning outcomes. These are designated by the state of Texas and cannot be changed. You can read through those yourself. Now, prerequisites are known here. You need to have at least a C or better in 2401 to be able to be registered in this course. Now, there are 2 books required. The first is Mirab. This is a Pearson book, and it's called Human Anatomy and Physiology with Mastering. This should say A&P here. So you can buy this in the bookstore or you can order it online, whichever is easiest for you. There is a complete online version where you can get the Mastering, again, should say A&P here. And you can get just the Mastering A&P, which is a homework program, or you can get the homework with the book online. This is probably your best bet. Most of you have probably already purchased this in A&P 1. If you like to actually have a hard copy of the book, you can get that now in the bookstore, and that's where I would suggest you pay for it. The lab manual is required. You can get a custom one with 2402. And essentially it is Ammerman, and this is Exploring Anatomy and Physiology in the Laboratory, the second edition. If you buy it online, you need to print out each one of these and actually bring it to class. This kind of gives you an idea how you can register for the mastering, and of course I've already kind of showed you a little bit in class what you can do to register for the online component. Attendance is required. You're expected to be in every single class. I do record all attendance, and I will put it into your detailed D2L course so you can see that. Failing to log into D2L and Mastering A&P and failing to repeatedly complete assignments could possibly get you dropped, so make sure that you are always logging on to that and completing your assignments. It can also drop you a whole letter grade, so keep that in mind. If you're more than 20 minutes late for class, you will be considered absent. If this is just kind of an individualized circumstance, you're not going to be basically penalized for that. I keep this, and I have this for people that are habitually tardy. You disrupt the class if you're habitually tardy and you miss important information. You possibly could even miss some kind of quizzes that'll help you at the beginning of class to kind of understand the material that we'll be covering. So please keep this in mind. So how is your grade divided? Well, the lecture course is divided into 600 points that are associated with the lecture. 400 points are associated with your lecture exams. Now, you'll have 4 lecture exams given out throughout the semester, and each was worth 400 points. Averaging less than 60% on your lecture exam may result in automatic withdrawal. I'm not going to do this unless I've actually had a face-to-face conversation or I've been emailing you and we've been discussing this. So it's not going to be something you go and then you're just dropped from the course. It will be something that we've both agreed on. And what I mean by agreed on is if you are scoring 45s and 50s on the test and you want to stay in the course, you have to prove to me how you're going to change your study habits to actually increase your grade and pass. The whole purpose of our relationship here is to teach you anatomy and physiology, to make you really strong students, and to help you pass this course. I can't do it alone. You can't do it alone. It's a relationship where we're working on this together. So essentially, if you are failing all your exams repeatedly, we have to come to some kind of conclusion on how we can basically change your habits to make you successful. So that's what I mean about, we'll come up with something together to figure out how to make that happen. Now, if you look on here, every single unit has been, every single exam has been divided into what units. So your first semester exam will cover units 1, 2, and 3. So essentially that's chapters 18, 19, 17, 18, and 19. And essentially that covers all aspects of the cardiovascular system. So essentially we will be doing that in week 4. If you look through here, I have basically subdivided every exam so you know what to expect on every single exam you come to. Now, just to let you know, you'll have an opportunity to make a music video. If you're interested in doing that, you'll need to come basically talk to me. And it will be due about 3 weeks before the end of class. So make sure to do this early and get this turned in somewhat early. Mastering homework, this is online homework. There'll be 13 assignments. You'll be able to drop the lowest homework. So if you miss one or if you just score poorly on one, you'll be allowed to drop only one this semester. And this basically divides into the units. I have them bolded and unbolded depending on what sections you need to kind of work together to complete for each exam. They're due at 11:59 the Sunday before the week of the exam. and you have a social media group project. So I said, we'll have quizzes at the beginning of class. We'll have assignments that we'll do throughout class. We'll have clicker. Basically, these I'll be recording as a means to kind of track your progress. What you're actually, for 80 points of your class, you're going to actually work on a group project. And I kind of explain this in class. And what you're going to do is you're going to pick a scientist or a doctor associated with great work in medicine regarding the field that you pick. So if you really find basically the lymphatic system interesting, your group is going to pick Unit 4 here. And what you're essentially going to do with Unit 4 is you are going to look through and you're going to find what scientists or doctor that's made a lot of headway in that field, and you're going to make a Facebook. Realize that, we'll have 8 groups. So we're going to start these about week 4 and 5, which is only a couple weeks away. If you pick one of these or you get stuck with one of these earlier ones, because each group is not allowed to do the same unit, then essentially what I'm going to do is my part of it, I'm going to grade easier at the beginning of the semester and gets progressively harder, because essentially you're at an advantage if you do it at the end of the semester. You get more time to do it and you're able to review other people's work. So it only makes sense that I grade things a little bit easier at the beginning of the semester, where you haven't had as much time and you haven't had as much exposure to other groups and what they've done. And progressively, as you go through the semester, it gets to be more difficult when you're doing these social media group projects. Essentially, your grade is going to be composed of me. I'm going to have a part that grades it based on content. The class is going to grade it based on your presentation, and your other group members are going to grade you based on your participation. And so it's a little bit less than an exam. And essentially, I'm not going to give, the great thing about this is I'm going to kind of leave it a little bit fluent in how you decide to present it. You're going to need to essentially provide their childhood and their education and all those, kind of their life experiences through Facebook posts, and then you're going to pick either one or a handful, if you find them interesting, of their discoveries, and you're going to basically post as if you are them discovering different things in order. So however you decide to reflect this on your Facebook is up to you, but I will give you some pointers on what you should cover when I go over this. I'll go over basically you picking your groups and what you're doing, and then I'll put the rubric up there next week. Your laboratory grade is worth 250 points. 90 points are going to be lab assignments. So you are going to have essentially 4 laboratory, actually you're going to have 3 laboratory assignments. I need to update this for a total of 90 points. So each one is going to be worth 30 points here. And your lab practical, there's 160 points here. And so you actually have 3 lab practicals. So essentially they're going to be worth about a little bit over 50 points apiece. And your final exam is going to be worth 150 points, and this is comprehensive. I don't do makeup work on anything. So if you miss a mastering homework, I let you drop 1. You just make sure not to miss any more. They're all open at this point. All of the mastering homework's been put up, so you can work at your own pace. You can get them done a little bit early if you want, or you can work on them the week of. But I don't open them and close them the week of. So, for instance, this first week material will have a few weeks to complete it. So keep that in mind. Don't wait till the last minute to do these. Your social media project, you'll have whatever time you'll have to that unit to do them. So you're not going to be extended time because you can't. You're presenting during the week for which your material is being covered during the first 15 minutes of class. So if you come in late, you'll have less time to present. If you come after 15 minutes, you'll forfeit that grade. So you will not get your grade associated with the class grading you, because they're grading you on presentation. So keep that in mind. Semester exams are given one time. If you miss an exam, just to let you know, you will be given a different version of the missed exam. It will be longer and way more challenging because you will have more time to do this. If you know you're going to miss for whatever reason, schedule a time to take it before the class period so that we can essentially, you'll be given the same exam the rest of the class is given. This exam will be administered after the final exam, so you'll have whatever remaining time after the exam to finish this. So you only have the opportunity to replace one missed exam. So keep that in mind as you go over. If you miss more than one exam, you'll get zeros for the other missed exams. Final exam is the exact same way. So make sure that you show up on time and ready to do that exam. If you have extenuating circumstances, you or close immediate family members in the hospital, you get in a wreck on the way to class. These things are extenuating circumstances. We will review those on a first kind of the needed basis. Lab exams. If you arrive late for the exam, you won't have an opportunity, or for a lab experiment, you won't have an opportunity to do the experiment. We're on, we have time limits. If you miss the lab altogether, I only teach one 2402 class. So what you would have to do is you would have to find a professor who will let you sit into their class period. You'll have to email them and ask them special permission. And then you'll need to copy us. I can tell you the people and I can give you kind of an idea outside the classroom. They give you all the times and who's teaching during those times. So you can talk to me and say, hey, this professor, I'm going to email them and ask them if I can sit in on this lab class. And I will tell you, sure, just copy me on there and let me know what happens. They will essentially need to make sure it's okay. If they say no, you're out of luck. You can't sit in on their class. It's up to them. If they let you sit in on the class, they'll need to email me to tell me that you've actually been there. And then you'll be able to essentially claim that lab and turn those lab portions in. If you're not in the class for the lab during which we are covering them, you may not turn those lab sections in. Cell phones, keep them turned off. If you have any issues with me or you feel like you need to talk to somebody, the department chair and the interim dean are labeled here. Chris Allen is the department chair. Martha Donnelly is our interim dean. Chris Allen is not my immediate supervisor. He is supervisor over part-time faculty. So if you contact him, he is just going to refer you to Martha Donnelly. She's actually my direct supervisor. Now, I always stress to people that the biggest problem most of the time or issues in courses, either when I was a student or as a professor, is miscommunication. Either you've done something that I have kind of misinterpreted, or I have communicated something to you that you've misinterpreted. And so the biggest thing that I can stress to you is to talk to me about it. I'm not going to be offended. I'm not going to take rage out on you or anything else. We're going to try to figure out a way to fix it. And if it feels like it can't be fixed, at that point, I would say feel absolutely free to go to my supervisor and discuss it. If you contact her and say, I have a problem because of this, the first thing she's going to ask you is, have you talked to her about it? And then you're either going to say no or you're going to say yes. If you say no, her next step is going to be, Well, why haven't you? Really need to talk to her about this first, because she's not going to get involved in this situation for which we have not tried to work out. Her biggest thing is, please go try to work with your professor, because it's going to be much easier if you guys can come up with an amicable solution for this before we have to go through all this. If you say, really, I don't feel comfortable talking to her, the next thing is she'll listen to you, but she's going to come to me. She's just not going to automatically assume everything you say is verbatim correct. She's going to say, okay, Heather, this is what the student has told me. Tell me what your side of this situation is. And I'm going to tell her if it's the same, I'm going to say the same. If it's not, I'm going to tell her my perspective. And then she, with her great common sense and her wisdom, is going to say, okay, this is what I think happened. And she's going to either contact you or me and say, okay, we need a meeting with all three of us together. So no matter what, you are going to have to work with me. She's not going to force me into anything I don't agree, unless I've done something that's completely against college policy, which, knock on wood, I've not done that before. I've tried to be pretty logical in my approach to students and their needs. So just to kind of give you an idea of how things work on that basically that road. So I can't stress to you, in this situation or in life, communication. Here is a nice table of what I've done before, and they will be updated, because here it says 4 lab practicals and 4 assignments, and we have updated those to only 3. It's still going to be a total of 90 points and 160 points. It's just what each one is worth is going to be changed, and I will update that before I put this online again. Now, how you come up with your final grade is it's all in a point system. So 900 to 1,000 points is an A, 800 to 899.9999 points is a B. So essentially here, I don't round. I'm going to stress, I just give grades. I don't assign them. I assign assessments, which are all of these basically assignments. And then how you do on them, your mastery of those concepts, your timeliness in completing them determines your grade. And then I just merely add the grades up and look and say, okay, my syllabus says you need 900 points for an A. Do you have 900 points? If you don't have 900 points, you don't get the A. If you have 899.9999 points, it's a B. Why? Because I give you the opportunity to replace your lowest test grade with a video. So you have the opportunity to go home and work on a project and do really, really well and get an A on that. So whether or not you choose to go home and do extra work, or you choose to actually work really hard on all the assignments all semester, is essentially a decision completely up to you. So realize that don't expect a curve. I've never had to curve a class, just to let you know. I always have a pretty good distribution of grades. So I never really have to curve. And essentially, I don't really ever have to round up. Your final grade will reflect an entire semester of effort. So make sure you work hard to get the grade you want, because I just assign them, I don't give them. If you withdraw, I'm going to show you what the W day here is in a minute, but you will need to essentially, if you're not happy with your grade, you need to withdraw. I'm not promising you that I'm going to automatically withdraw you if you have an F in the course, especially if you've been coming to class and we've talked, and then all of a sudden you just decide, well, it's W day, I'm not doing well, Dr. Brazier will withdraw me. You can't bank on that. So if you stop attending class and don't officially withdraw, you will get an F in the course. It's just the way it is, because you're going to make zeros and everything else from then on. So make sure that you are, essentially, if you're not going to continue in the class, you're not happy, that you withdraw. There is a 6-drop rule, which is the reason why I do talk to students before withdrawing them. 6-drop rule means if you start after fall 2007 term or later, your first-time college student, you will only be allowed to drop 6 courses. After that, you will be assessed with out-of-state tuition. So make sure that you are working really, really hard so you don't have to withdraw from classes. Tutoring is available in the tutoring lab, the reading and writing labs, the math lab, the hotspots, and you can look on the 8th floor in the Learning Center to find out more information about this. There are counseling services available, not just for disability, but career and emotional counseling, and you can call this number and find them in Suite 260, Building 12. The Assistant Technology Lab is available for students who benefit from its various technologies to convert text to speech, magnify items, convert text to braille, etc., etc. So anything that's essentially noted under 504, you can essentially get assistance with. If this relates to you, you'll know, but you can go to the Learning Center to find out more information in Building 12 on the 8th floor. The Writing Lab is a fantastic place you can go to basically help you become more successful in your writing endeavors, both within your professional and your personal life. So any course that requires any kind of writing, you can go through and contact the Writing Center and get help. The library is on the 12th in the 12th building on level floor and contains all kinds of resources for both college students and community. If you have any questions, you can contact a reference librarian at this email. Library hours and contact information can be found at this link. Academic integrity is a really important core value in my class, and I feel like having honesty, respect, fairness, and accountability is important, not just as a student, but as a society member. So I can't stress the importance at promoting personal and academic honesty. Basically, I rely that you are going to be an honorable person that is going to respect not only yourself, but other people in the class and me. So I'm not going to be over you always assuming that you're cheating. But if you are cheating most times, I do find out either due to being able to identify when people get the same answers wrong on exams, to, believe it or not, many times students will rat you out if they know you're cheating on exams, especially if students have worked really hard studying and working on A&P 20 or 30 hours a week, and you come in and try to make an A by cheating. So keep this in mind. There are harsh penalties for academic dishonesty, and they are determined by me, or me and the academic dean, or me and the chief student service officers. But if you notice in every one of those situations, it's determined by a combination, either myself alone or a combination of other people. So I can decide that you have additional class requirements imposed. You receive a grade of 0 or F on an exam or assignment, whichever you're cheating on. You can receive an F for the entire course. I can fail you even if you are just cheating on one homework assignment. Keep this in mind. You can be withdrawn from the course or the program. You can be expelled from the college. And places such as University of Texas or University of Houston, you can actually get placed on your transcript that you have been basically convicted, because they have court cases they have you attend, of academic dishonesty or plagiarism. It is extremely serious offense in academia, so please don't do it. If you're going to fail with dignity and try harder the next time. Student behavior and expectation, I did brush up on this a little bit during class. You can refer to this link to look in student contact or code of conduct online. But I will stress to you these essentially behaviors I like to note in class. Essentially, if you have any kind of electronics, unless it's being used to further your academic progress, turn it off. The first offense, I'll warn you and tell you, and I'll let you be allowed to stay in class, but I'll essentially say, please put the phone up. It's being distracting to not just me, the people around you. If I can see it, there's a very good chance people next to you are being distracted by it. So keep that in mind. If you continue to be distracting using these electronic devices, you'll be asked just to leave class and you'll receive an absence for the day. If it's during an exam, no electronics are being allowed to use. You can't use them at all. If you have any of these devices out during an exam or in your pocket, they may be taken away from you and you could receive a 0 for that exam. So if you need to go to the bathroom or anything, that's why I say leave all of your electronic devices, laptops, phones, iPads, any of that, in your backpacks or in your purse. That way, for instance, if you go to the bathroom and I find out you have a computer or a phone in your pocket, it's an automatic 0 for that exam, even if you didn't use it, because I have no way to prove that you didn't. So keep that in mind. Laptops are only permitted during class if we're doing an assignment that requires them. Do not use the internet or email unless you're using it for academic progress reasons, and please don't use your laptop to take notes. There is a study done by Princeton University, you can click on here and read all about it, where it compares students who take notes on paper with paper and pen versus actually on the computer, and it is amazing the difference between learning by typing and handwriting it out. Make sure to print all PowerPoints out and write your notes on PowerPoints. First offense, you'll be warned and be allowed to stay in class. Second offense, you'll be asked to leave. For instance, I've actually had someone watching ballet while I lectured. And just to let you know, how did I find out? The students behind me told me because it was distracting. So people aren't trying to be jerks when they're asking or informing me that these things are happening. You're just making it really hard for them to pay attention. And they've paid really good money to be in this class, and they may have a hard time learning the material. So keep that in mind when you're doing these things. For safety reasons and insurance, friends, spouses, and children are not allowed in class or lab. Students will be removed if you're disruptive. So if you're sitting in the back talking to other students, texting, laying your head down on the desk, using internet, a laptop, sleeping, or other activities that feel disruptive, if you repeatedly do this, I will automatically withdraw you from the class. I will talk to my supervisor about it. We will have a meeting. And once you're warned, that's it. I do not have any tolerance at all for disrespectful, rude, confrontational, or inappropriate behavior. And it's perceived as me. This is why I say communication is key. If you do something in class, I will pull you off to the side and say, you're doing this. I consider this or perceive this as being disrespectful, rude, or inappropriate. And then I'm going to give you the opportunity to tell me what's going on. And if you say, hey, for instance, texting, if you're doing that and I pull you over and I'm like, what in the world is going on? You are in your phone constantly. And then you say, Dr. Brazier, I'm sorry. My son is sick at school and they're telling me I need to come pick him up. I'm going to say, okay, I understand. That is completely justifiable. But if you don't have any reason for it, then I'm just going to say no. Especially if you cuss anybody, if you're rude, if you yell at people, if you throw things at people, if you slap. All of these things have happened at one point in class. I've been pretty lucky that it hasn't happened in a while because I stress this. This is the idea. I tell you what my expectations are. So if you do it, I've already warned you. You're gone. You're out. The only way I'll let you meet back in the class is if you and I have a talk with the college judiciary coordinator and I say, okay, you have done all these things I think you need to do to be allowed back in class. So keep that in mind. If you have a disability, and you need to give me the appropriate paperwork, do that ASAP. This is 504 paperwork. You know who you are. We're committed to safety. You can go to these links that detail what to do in emergency situations. If you need to contact the police in an event, it's 5911. You can read about computer virus protection and equal opportunity statement. We do not discriminate based on anything. We give equal employment opportunities to everybody, regardless of race, color, creed, national origin, age, gender, veterans, status, sexual orientation, or disability. FERPA, pretty much, I can't tell anybody about anything regarding your school. Please, especially this pertains to people who are under the age of 18, maybe taking the said dual credit. Do not have your parents call me under any circumstance at all. I cannot release any information or talk to them. If they call me, I will tell them exactly what I'm telling you right now. You need to contact someone in the admissions office or in student services, really, or get a release of information going to this and contact the people related to this. Even if you have one of these on file, I will not talk to you. I will refer you to the dean of our department. So please, don't have your parents call me. Internet and email, you can read this on the policy for using internet and email here. Campus carry is now in effect. There are no rooms associated with your contact with me. My office, the classroom, and the lab are all free, and you are allowed to open carry in any of those situations. My personal advice for lab, do it during lecture. I don't really care, but realize if you are going to carry and you are going to put that in your backpack, if you go to the bathroom, you have to take your backpack with you. Your gun has to be within hand distance to you. So you cannot leave that anywhere to do anything. So keep that in mind at all time. If this is a perfect example of if you are going to carry your weapon during exam, you can't go to the bathroom at any time during your exam because you can't take your backpack in with all your stuff into essentially the bathroom. So keep this in mind that you are responsible for that. And if we find you have a gun in your backpack and you leave that at any point, I will call the police department and they will have a conversation with you because it is a safety concern. I don't care if you have it, you're legally within right. You just have to keep it close to your person. Lab, I just find it sometimes can be an issue with moving around the way that we do. But if you can run with it, you'll be fine in the lab with it as well. Evaluation of instruction. At the end of the semester, you'll have the choice to actually evaluate me. And we'll talk about that at that time. Here's our tentative schedule. Could it change? Possibly. Generally, it doesn't. So essentially, our course introduction is what I'm doing right now in your class. And essentially, we're going to be going over Unit 1 blood during class. So you will want to print out Unit 1. This is Chapter 17 and review this before you come to class. Over here tells you what we're doing for the laboratory. I printed those out for you today if you didn't have it, but you need to have all of this information by next week. If you have a problem with Harvey, then you need to contact me in a personal, and we'll talk on a personal basis about those face to face and see what kind of accommodations that I can realistically provide to you. And as you can see every week, so Unit 2, you're going to go, and that's a cardiovascular system, specifically heart, Chapter 18. And this is what you need to bring of your lab manual. Pre-labs 16.1, 16.4 is what you'll need to do next week. And then we are going to go through the heart dissection, 16.1 to 16.3. We'll also be looking at cats during that time as well, and you'll be responsible for check your recall. All of this will be in an assignment that I'll put together within the next week and put it online. You'll print that out and you'll turn it in when your first lab practical, those are your lab exams, will be given. So I will be putting that up for you within the next couple weeks. So just continue to do all your assignments and then you won't have any problem with this. Lab exam is over here. So essentially during the lab exam, during the first part of it, on September 25th, on that Thursday, you'll be tested for the first half of the class, first hour and a half. The second hour and a half will start the lymphatic system, which is Unit 4, and we'll continue that over to the second week, and we kind of overlap these weeks for a little while. And essentially, you'll see this as you go through. The withdrawal date is November 13th. We will not have lab on November 20th due to Thanksgiving break. And then essentially your lab lecture, comprehensive final, will be on December 12th from 2 to 3:50. The week before that, you'll have your lab practical and the final exam. When you come into class on Thursday, I'll actually have these printed out for you to sign saying that you've reviewed all this. So with that being said, I have gone over your syllabus, but you need to read every section in detail. You can print this out and use it essentially for your syllabus quiz that you'll have at the beginning of class on Thursday. Like I said in class on Tuesday, that essentially you won't have time to read the whole syllabus to find the questions because it'll be 10 questions and you'll have basically open answered question. But if you read through it, it's going to be really easy for you to go back and go, okay, I remember this is found here, and then skim through it because you've already read it and you can answer the question. So the syllabus quiz isn't about basically making you lose points. It's essentially about teaching you how to read your syllabus because the most important document of this entire semester is lying in front of you right now. This tells you basically your entire schedule. It tells you how your grade's going to be calculated. It tells you if you have problems with me, where to go. It tells you if you need to contact me and talk to me, how to do that. It tells you essentially what my office hours are. It tells you where you can find me. It tells you everything. So this contract's very, very important and you need to review. So anyway, I enjoyed having you in class today, guys, and I will see you for lecture on Thursday. Bye.